Welcome all back into another episode of Game Runs Deep. I'm Sudu, he's Ben, and week 8 of college football is upon us. But first, Ben, the chaos of week 7. It certainly bled into Sunday. James Franklin is no longer the head coach at Penn State. A lot to get to today, including a very special guest to preview Ole Miss, Georgia. But first of all, Benny, how you doing?
Friend, I'm doing great. Better than I deserve, as Dave Ramsey once said, and I thought that was a pretty nice way to put it. So, yeah, better than I deserve. God is good. God is sovereign. And James Franklin, as I hinted at, or when I was grinding my gears last week, seems headed to – I know he's got a $60 million buyout, and if he takes another job, I think that puts that buyout in peril. And there's no better job than the head coach with a massive buyout that gets fired. That's living the dream. James, if it were me, I'd be in Trinidad and Tobago. And that's not just trying to make an Ole Miss joke. You know, I'd be somewhere laying on a beach with a margarita. But, man, if it wasn't obvious before, this man is probably headed for an Arkansas, or he'll have an opportunity. But the fact that he was a play away from a national championship last season, 34-8 the last 3 seasons, went from top 5 2 weeks ago to fired in 2 weeks. What an insane coaching carousel that we're about to embark on in college football. This is not the only massive opening that'll be there. I think Matt Rule's the obvious leading candidate for that job. But, man, so much can happen in such a short amount of time, only in college football, friend, only in college football.
No doubt about it. It is certainly a new era in which you don't expect programs to be just shelling out $50 million to fire their coaches. But you know what? When you're Penn State, I guess you got it like that, right? So we'll certainly break all of that down. But obviously, Ben, this is the big one this week for Ole Miss. They got to travel to Sanford Stadium, Athens, Georgia. College game day over there. Pat McAfee.
Between the hedges.
Between the hedges. I'm sure McAfee's going to make a big show out of it. And really the true persona, the personality that's going to be in Athens this weekend is a 2-time SEC championship winning quarterback. He is a man who's played in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons. He is a man who is a 3-time Emmy Award winner. Yeah, wow. People forget that. That man's got 3 trophies sitting on a shelf that didn't even come from football. None other than a good friend of mine, a brother even, DJ Shockley. DJ, what's up, baby? Welcome to the show.
What up? Hey, speaking of the Emmy, I mean, it looks like you got one behind you, so it looks like they were in conjunction with Sudu Upadhyay. So
hey, that's a shared Emmy between you and me, friend. That's a co-Emmy win.
And Ben, I'm with you, man. $60 million. I would not be worried about calling any recruits, picking up any DMs. I am chilling.
Mm-hmm. All I want to know is if we can get Shock like an EGOT. You know, you get the Emmy, we get the Tony, we get the Oscar. Like he's getting close. Like
he's on his way. I'll say this:
can the man get on the stage and sing and dance? If he can do that, oh boy, we really cooking. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
He is a man of many talents, and I'll say this: okay, DJ Shockley. This is a fact that a lot of people don't know, but it should be on his right. DJ Shockley has more Emmys than Nick Saban. I just want to make that very clear. Nick Saban, 1 Emmy. DJ Shockley, 3 Emmys.
I don't think he has a guy who can edit like the guy I had. So I don't know.
Hey, it's not editing. It's not editing. They don't give that award for editing.
I don't know if they can put something together for old Nick like they did Shock. You know, so
man,
don't get his head too big though, Shock. I mean, we're already trying to keep him in the room from floating away with that big ass head of Sudu. So you know, you keep telling him he's good at something. Oh boy, we'll lose him real quick.
I don't even know if it's there. I don't even know if it's there. But look, as much as I love Shock, this week, Shock, you are the ops, okay? Obviously, Reb's coming to Athens. It's been an interesting season. I mean, all summer when we worked together, we previewed this Georgia team, and we talked about it. You know, yeah, it's a young team, but there's all this talent, there's depth, there's all this stuff, and it hasn't really necessarily shown the way we thought maybe it would, specifically on defense. And that's kind of where I want to start with this matchup. A year ago, you saw Ole Miss and their pass rush absolutely annihilate Georgia's, what we thought was a great offensive line, and just giving Carson Beck trouble all day in Oxford. And this year, I would have thought that Georgia, coming into this game, that would have been my fear. Guys like Elo Meduze and Christian Miller and you know, even linebackers, Chris Cole, like a genuine, legitimate pass rush for Georgia. And it's one of the worst teams in the country as far as sacks, one of the worst pressure rate defenses in the country. I want to start there with you. What is going on with the Georgia defense, and why aren't they getting to the opposing quarterback?
Well, first off, Sudu, you calling me the ops is real strange because, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who kind of put you in the dog world for a long time. Now you're trying to get your way back on the rebel side. I get it. I understand. It's all good. But I know where your truth lies, so it's all good. But, yeah, man, that's been kind of the issue all year. And to be honest, it's been something that they worked week in and week out trying to perfect. And even when you go back to the Alabama game, I was talking to Kirby about it, and he said, we literally tried everything. They tried zone pressure. They tried man pressure. They tried to do it with 4. They tried to do it with 5 and just could not get to him. So then you say, okay, it's not all about scheme because this has been a scheme that's been in place for the last 8-9 years, and they've just found ways to get to the quarterback. Well, then you start thinking, okay, it comes down to players. And, you named a bunch of guys there that are talented, yes, but just haven't found a way to get to the quarterback. And I think it just comes down to being able to win those one-on-ones at times, but then being able to get home. I think they've tried a lot of things with, try to add on linebackers with C.J. Allen, who's a really good pass rusher from that linebacker spot. Raylan's athleticism, of course, but then you think Chris Cole, Justin Williams, all guys who are athletic, who are kind of like in-betweeners, who you think can line up on the edge and can rush. They've had their moments, but they absolutely have not gotten to the quarterback the way I know Kirby and Schumann wants. And as the season goes on, that's going to be something that is really going to be an issue if it continues because as the season goes on, you're going to play better quarterbacks. You're going to play quarterbacks that if you give them time like a Ty Simpson, they're going to rip you apart. So I think it comes down to, obviously, how can you try to get even more pressure or can you hold up on the back end, which has also been something that's been talked about as well. So I think those guys got to find it in them to say, you know what, we got to win our individual efforts, and it comes down to execution at the bottom line.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the back end too, Jacques, you're right. I mean, there's been some struggles there. We saw it really a year ago when it started. Obviously, when you lost the Javon Bullards of the world and the Tyke Smiths, and you said, you know what, that's what it is. You lost a lot of good Malachi Starks. You know what I mean? You lost a lot of talented guys that held that secondary up for the last few years and thought coming into this year, well, KJ Bolden's a little older, obviously Daniel Harris, Dalen Everett, Ellis Robinson, like all these guys have a little more experience, and we've seen struggles on that end as well. Is there any, I mean, I don't want to say any hope for development because obviously there is. It's Georgia. That's what Georgia is known for. But at this point of the season, we're talking about week 8. What else can the secondary do? Because you're right, like they're not getting to the quarterback, and there's no coverage sacks either. It's like they're in a limbo on the front end and the back end of the defense.
Well, I think the best thing they got going for them is they got dudes like Glenn Schumann, Kirby Smart, Tavares Robinson, guys that can make second half adjustments, and I think that's kind of been the key to Georgia's success this season is teams that got out, jumped on them really good and, got out to fast starts. And then the second half, their offense just kind of disappeared. That happened in his last game versus Auburn. I mean, they were up and down the field in the second half. I don't know if they had, 60 total yards of offense in the second half.
Second half was brutal
for
Auburn.
It comes down to just the adjustments made. And like you mentioned, it's week 8. You're not going to be throwing anybody new else out there trying to figure it out. This is not that time of the season. As you get into the meat of the SEC, like you got to roll with what you got and hope those guys can stand up. There was a play last week where I think it was DeMello Jones was in position and they still ended up calling a PI. And you can see Kirby not overreact too much because he said, you know what, you were in phase, you were in good position, just turn your head around. And I think it's just the small things like that these guys are working on, but they're working on it in games. And sometimes you don't want to work on a lot of stuff to get better in the game. You want to have that stuff already down. But a lot of these guys are getting their first real game action, and it happens in game, like a Ellis Robinson, like a DeMello Jones. All these guys are playing major roles now, and it just so happens it's being showed in front of the entire country. So we'll see what happens as the season progresses, but these guys are learning on the fly, and we'll see what happens down the stretch if these guys can find a way where the front end can work with the back end and you find a way to get more sacks or even just pressure on the quarterback.
Shock, I said before the show started, we've come a long way since you played Ole Miss in 2002. It's been We getting old. We're getting really old here. Since I write for the Ole Miss On 3 site, the Ole Miss Spirit On 3, sign up today for just $1. I want to come to you from the Ole Miss side of things because obviously the biggest conversation around Ole Miss, obviously they're number 5 in the country, but the quarterback situation, Trinidad Chambliss, I saw today, according to On 3, I think he's number 5 in the On 3 Heisman poll. But Washington State was underwhelming. It wasn't just Trinidad either, and he rallied after a slow start. But when you look at the matchup of Trinidad against this Georgia defense in that kind of challenge, just where things are with the Ole Miss quarterback situation, what's your take on it as someone who's been through those kind of battles before as a quarterback in the SEC?
Well, the one thing that comes to mind when it comes to facing a Kirby-style defense is guys who've had success versus defense are guys who look like Chambliss, guys who can move, guys who are athletic, guys who can create, guys who can turn that second play into something. And as we know, that's something that can change a ball game by the way you get after a quarterback. And if you look up and hey, you're not getting any pass rush, and he's able to sit back there and then see what he wants and then be able to take off, that's not a good recipe for Georgia. And obviously, he's a talented player. He's done it at every level he's been at. And truthfully, he's had time to grow into this offense, into this system with how much he's played already this year. I think he's a talented kid, man. He's playing some really good football. And as we know, when you play a team like Washington State a week before, you're about to get ready for a big game, it's hard as a player. I'll be honest. It's hard for a player not to look forward to the next week knowing what's at stake. And, yeah, you're locked in on that game. You got a plan. You want to play well. But in the back of your mind, you're like, man, next week is going to be where it's at. So I wouldn't be overly worried about, the performance that happened in that ball game because he's shown the ability to be able to play really well in big-time games too. But, coming to Athens is a different story. Obviously, Coach Shu and the boys are going to have some stuff ready for him. They obviously going to see the film and know this guy can move around. And I think it's all going to be about being disciplined in their rush lanes because when you rush 4, you rush 5, and you get outside those rush lanes, he takes off. That's backbreaking for a defense. And here you go, marching down the field, making plays. And the biggest thing that I learned as a quarterback playing on the road was if some good things happened to me early in the ball game, it gave me huge confidence going forward. And I don't care how much football you've played, when you play in an environment like he's coming into, you play in an environment like Vaughn when it's, rocking and, people are all into it. If you have some success early, it helps the momentum and confidence of any quarterback and the guys around them. And things start to slow down, to be honest. So if Georgia's able to get some pressure on them early and force them into some bad plays, then maybe you take that confidence ladder down a little bit and he doesn't make the same plays. But, he's an athletic dude, man, who can throw it all over the yard too. I've seen him make some big-time throws too. But I guarantee you, Shu and the boys are not going to just sit back and let this dude sit back there and do what he wants. I think they went through that last year when you played against Jalen Miro a couple times. You're trying to figure out how to play this guy. And they had some struggles sitting back. They had some struggles at times when they went after him, and he made some big plays with his arm. So that's where the front and the back end, like I mentioned, have to play together versus a quarterback like this.
Yeah, another thing, too, before Sudu gets you off on another tangent about Georgia here, are we really going to avoid the whole Kirby Smart calling a timeout, not calling a timeout controversy? What do we think about this, Georgia guys? I just want to know.
That's not a controversy. I think his time has passed. Shock, I'm sure you'd agree with me as the Georgia guy, but, I mean, they were clapping. It's either you call a penalty on them or –
all I can say is when I talked to Kirby after the game, he said, there's no reason for me to call a timeout. They were clapping. I'm just trying to make sure. But here's the troll from Auburn. Auburn played the video 7 times on the big board. And I'm just going to say it looked questionable. I'll say that because I've seen timeouts called before. I've seen the version of clap going. All I can do is go off what my man Kirby says, but it was pretty close to looking like a timeout, I'm not going to lie.
So to me, it's not even whether he's definitely called timeout, but you can even hear it. There's one audio I listened to during the game. I think it was caught on the ref mic or something, where he goes, "You're making me waste a timeout." They're clapping. So I think in the official's head, it was like, shit, we should have called a penalty on Auburn, so we're not going to charge Kirby the timeout. And I think Kirby, in order to sell it, just said, well, I didn't actually call a timeout. But you actually can hear him on one. There's one replay I saw on Twitter where he goes, you're making me, I'm wasting a timeout. So he was calling timeout to point out, hey, they're clapping. I think the initial TV thought was like, Kirby was calling timeout, but then he tried to sell it like he was clapping. It's like, no. He was telling the refs, I told you before the game, they're clapping. That's a flag. And I think in the ref's eyes, it was like, well, we messed up, so we're just not going to charge you a timeout because that was on us, right?
Here's a lot thing.
Yeah,
because like for me, like Kirby, it was very simple. Kirby's number one job is to, always support and vouch and be that guy that's leading the charge for Georgia. Yes, of course, you want to try to stretch things as far as you can. So even if the worst of it is true, and he was trying to call a timeout and then he bullcrapped it, you should do that. The real problem here, Shock, is that SEC officiating, I can't remember the last time it was this bad across the board. The officiating is just abhorrent. And now that this is big business and big business only, there's too much money involved for them to not have any accountability by even talking to the media, in the post game, putting a mic in their face, let alone fines or making them, professional referees. Because, man, the officiating is the question. Not Kirby's doing what every coach would do for his team, regardless if it was he was calling a timeout and bull crapping to the ref or not. That's the least concerning to me than it's just another extension of SEC officiating, just shit in the bed, quite frankly.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. There were a couple scenarios I was in the ball game that on both sides, to be honest, on the Auburn side and Georgia side, they were just missed or bad calls. I mean, the amount of reviews made the game so long, and there were situations where it just felt like they had no idea what was going on. The fumble on the goal line, they had no idea where the ball was, what was going on, and you're like, okay, what do we do now? And there were just situations in the game where you're like, man, this has to be better because it's ruining what this game could be. And as players, you always say don't let the game come down to the refs. Well, that game had a lot to do with the refs on a number of situations.
No doubt.
And Jackson Arnold crossed. That's the last I'm going to say. He crossed.
Listen, that's my thing. Is like, how do you screw Auburn and Georgia over on the same play, man? You don't give Auburn the touchdown. And, well, if it's a fumble, then you got to give Georgia the touchdown on the other end. It was just remarkable how bad of a show that was from them. I don't know if he crossed, because if you look at the frame by frame, the ball's moving. But I do believe there was a targeting on Georgia that wasn't called. I believe Gunner Stockton was actually targeted once that wasn't called either. There were so many little moments that I was like, what in the hell are you guys doing? And that guy, I forget his name, but that crew has been notoriously bad. And
Ken Williamson,
thank you. Ken Williamson is his name. And it's incredible to me, like Ben's saying, look, I don't even give a shit about having to answer questions because they're going to find a way to spin it. You need to pay the school that was affected as a conference. Give them money. Give them something, bro. Like, you can't just get away with it and be like, sorry, or here's a statement. We've done this. We've done this song and dance on this podcast before, and it sucks that we have to keep on doing it week after week. For some reason, it's always Auburn.
They ain't gonna care about the money. They ain't gonna care about the money. They want the wins and losses. These schools got plenty of money. They ain't worried about that. I understand keeping them accountable for something, but at the end of the day, if you lose the game because of it, money ain't gonna make that better.
Well, something for the NIL fund and a suspension would be great.
All I know is that they have no problem charging $500,000 if fans get excited and storm the field. The least you could do is put a microphone in front of a ref's face in the post game. At bare friggin' minimum here.
Yeah, no doubt. Shock, I want to ask you about kind of the mentality of this Georgia team this year. Unlike any other year, I feel like Kirby this year, I don't know, his energy, his language, the way he's kind of moving makes me feel like he is just sort of like, hey, we're kind of stealing some of these games. I even heard him, there was a clip, once again, I'm going to go to a Twitter clip. I think it was Allison Mastrangelo from WSB in Atlanta. I think he's talking to his kid, or I forget who he's talking to at the end of the game, but he goes, boy, we stole one. And I feel like that's kind of been his mentality, where I think Kirby knows. I mean, coming into the season, he said it, right? This is the youngest team he's ever had, but I'm sure even he thought they were going to play better than they have. But it almost feels like he looks relieved after these games, after Tennessee, after Auburn. Like, he feels like, damn, we got away with that one. You kind of sense that in him, where he kind of knows, like, this team's ceiling might be lower than some other ones I've had. And for that reason, that's why he's so animated. And so, I don't know, it's just a different kind of intensity from Smart that I haven't seen in years past.
Well, I say it like this. Going back to media days, he talked about, obviously, this team having 55% of the team being first or second year players. So you couple that with walking into a season, not knowing how these guys are going to respond on the road in the SEC in tough ball games, and you go on the road in the SEC and you find a way to win. Yeah, as we know, this is a gauntlet of a SEC. It's going to take some luck. It's going to take some things to bounce your way. And for your team to be punched in the mouth a few times, like you were at Tennessee, like you were obviously against Alabama, still had a chance to win that in the second half. The way you were punched in the mouth on the road at Jordan Hare, we know how tough it is to play there, and to find a way to win the ball game by whatever means, yeah, you're going to be relieved because you know there are a lot of other teams around the country who aren't mentally strong enough to overcome that. So at the end of the ball game, he's like, man, you know what? I got this young team, but this is a resilient team that finds a way to get it done. And one thing I've really enjoyed being around this team is there's no flinch in this team. You see these guys be down at halftime. They come in, they make the adjustments, and the conversation is when we come back at the end of the ball game, we're going to have a different feeling. So in their heart of heart, they feel, regardless of what happens in the first half, that's why you play 4 quarters. And Kirby emphasizes that week in and week out that, yeah, they're going to make plays. I was talking to, who was that? It might have been Jordan Hall the other day after the ball game. And he was talking about, yeah, we get punched in the face, but then he also said, you know what? Them dudes on scholarship too. Them dudes getting paid too. So guess what? They gonna make plays. They got really smart coaches on the other side, so they gonna scheme things up. But the thing you like about them most is they're resilient. They're gonna fight. They're never gonna give in. And the fact that they had to be down on the road in Tennessee, down against Auburn on the road, they have shown the ability to come back. So now they believe it. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. They played in some of the toughest environments, and he's seen some of those young guys grow up. Here's the crazy thing. Last week at Auburn, at Jordan Hare, at one point in time, they had 3 freshman offensive linemen playing in a game like this, and they played decently, played well. I mean, you're talking about playing in an environment like that at 18 years old and thrown into the fire, and you're having to depend on those guys. Bo Hughley played 3 of the 5 offensive line spots in the game versus Auburn. And you go back and look at the tape, and you say, all right, he turns it up in front of, he has a good, bad, and ugly every Monday with his team. And he's going to point out, look at our true freshmen here stepping in, playing all these different roles. There's no excuses for juniors. There's no excuses for seniors because you see guys coming in and doing it. So I just think the mentality is different. And Kirby is one of the, as we know, master motivators. He gets his guys ready to play. And the fact they've done it in these hostile, crazy environments is why I think they believe they can win any ball game regardless of what happens early.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Shock, now I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I want you to give me 2 scenarios. Georgia wins if, and Georgia loses if. Let's start with the wins. What will it take to get the win for Georgia?
I think Georgia wins if they're able to get to Chambliss. I think they win if they're able to disturb him at all. If they're able to cause some confusion. They're able to turn him over at least a couple times. And that's something that Georgia hasn't been able to do, to be quite honest. They haven't been getting the football off people. They haven't turned opposing teams over. If they can do that, I think they got a great chance to win the ball game because that obviously means it keeps their offense off the field, and it also, gives other possessions to your offense. I think they lose on the other side if they're not able to run the football. This is a game where obviously Gunner has shown the ability to, make some plays with his arm, but I think Georgia is at its best when they're able to run the football. And that's something that Kirby stressed this offseason is they have to run the rock. And I know Ole Miss has a really aggravating front. They move, they stunt, they do a lot of things up front to try to disturb you, especially in the running pass game. But I think this offense is predicated on being able to run the football when they need to. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out and rush for 150 yards, but if it's 3rd and 2 or 3 and you need to pick up a first down or short yardage or it's on the goal line, you got to run the football in. Those are moments where you need to run the football. So I'm not saying you got to run for 150, 200, I think you got to run the football absolutely at moments when you need to, and especially when they know you're going to run the rock.
All right, Shock, every Saturday we sit around, we watch college football, and you always see a player or two that just makes you go, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
And this is, obviously we do this segment now on Game Run, Steve. This is a segment that you and I started when I was still at Fox. And it was only right that since you're on today that we do it with you. So let's get it started with a little Ivy League football, Shock. Obviously, you could have played for an Ivy League if you wanted to, but that
No
damn
doubt.
Mark Richt,
No doubt.
he was too good.
Smart dude,
He was
you know what I
too
mean?
good.
All
So
day.
we're going to start off. This is a Lehigh versus Columbia, okay? This is not one that we normally are given shine to here on Game Runs Deep. Now, if the play would actually
you find these. Look at this.
Guy knows ball. Check this out. Joffrey Jamil, fellas.
King Joffrey.
King Joffrey.
King Joffrey. Absolute snag with number 7 there on him. That is Caleb Solomon for Columbia. And that's a rough look for Caleb Solomon, bro. He's
man,
checking on him. Hey, bro, did you catch that ball, bro?
He's more than checking
like
on him, Sue. Woo!
He letting him know he's there for sure.
I've never seen a DB straddle a receiver like that.
Like he was down at the Pony in Starkville, friend.
Hey, listen,
Hey man,
Caleb Solomon.
shout out to the QB, man. That was a hell of a throw too. I keep talking about receiver. Yeah, that was a dumb catch. I ain't gonna lie, one-handed snag, but that was a dumb throw too.
Damn near triple coverage. Fellas, say it with me. Caleb Solomon, bless your heart. All right. Now we're going to go to Bama, Mizzou. Obviously, the Tide getting a big win on the road, but, I mean, Bo Prabula and the Tigers at Bama looking silly at points in this game, including this play right here to Norfleet.
Whoa,
what
where
is
you going?
Damani Jackson doing?
Where bro going?
Check this out again. So Brett Norfleet with the touchdown here. Number 1, Jackson, the corner in coverage, gives the zone play to his safety, and then it's like his controller glitches. Where's he going?
That's
He
the
said,
one
you
where
go that way because I'm going home. Look at this. Bye.
even if he catch the football, you out of bounds, bro. What we doing? Like, this the one where you hope, like, when you get to the sideline, like the iPad for some reason doesn't work for that particular play, and you hope it doesn't get it. Bro.
But we got it. Sudu got it. And look, I mean, that's it. That's even beyond penalty range. You know what I mean? For like sideline when the coach is running into somebody like at Ole Miss. Come on, man. Where are you going?
Damani Jackson, my guy. Bless your heart.
Oh, bro, because that was bad.
All right, so we got another one. Like I
Jackson.
said, Prabula and the Tigers at Bama looking silly at points, even though they didn't get a win, including this play right here. Drew Prabula on the touchdown. Oh my God, Bray Hubbard. Bray Hubbard on skates.
They lit. Ooh.
Play some Sarah McLachlan, friends. It's over.
This is the worst part about playing on turf, fellas. When those beads start going up and you get caught in that.
You in trouble.
You.
Bro didn't even touch it, let alone tackle him. You talking about you didn't get a finger on bro and shook it.
Oh my
Chucky's
God.
waving to him.
I know, right? See you later, bro. I'll see you next series.
Bye.
Oh
next series.
goodness. Bray Hubbard. Bless your heart.
Your heart.
All right, next up, we're going to go to Florida A&M. Obviously, A&M, I think, proved this week that they deserve a lot more credit than we gave them. They handled a very good Florida defense well. But Jaden Ball...
Still not buying it. Sorry.
We'll get to that, Ben. We'll get to that.
Here, so, I
But-
want to hear what Shock thought.
But, Shock, Jaden Ball, former Georgia Bulldog recruit.
This is your guy, Sue.
Georgia wanted him to play linebacker. Jaden Ball said, nah, I'm playing running back. And here is why. Look at Jaden Ball. Breaks the tackle. All in your face, son.
Ooh. Bro,
That was Des Ricks for Texas A&M. I mean, Shock, that looks like Derrick Henry.
Bro, that's just bad. I mean, this dude got a mama and daddy at home, bro. His mom and daddy are embarrassed right now. That's just ridiculous. Goodness.
Des Ricks with a face full of grass at College Station. Jaden Ball, this is what he does. This is why you give him the football. Hey, Des Ricks, bless your heart.
But also, Sudu is going to find any and all ways to get a highlight of his man. I'm just saying,
I love me some Jaden Ball now. Love me some Jaden Ball.
Just like Byron Brown is his quarterback. I mean, we need to figure out the Sudu's all 22, Sudu's guys, man. Because
I'm working on it. Don't forget Eli Heidenreich either. my receiver from Navy. All right, our final play this week. There were so many we could have gone with, but we're going to go with this one last. We got to give a little love to our boy Caden Lee, Trinidad Chambliss, a decisive touchdown. How about this, Lee? Steals an ankle. Ain't no chance, son.
Wave to him, Kay. Look at him. One gone.
Slippery.
See, this is the biggest play in that game too, because man, offensively they just had been starving for big plays. An individual effort. I mean, Trinidad just abandoned the deep part of the field, throws short to Caden Lee, who's off to a slow start, but not by anything other than there's a lot of mouths to feed. And look, man, look at him making a play when you had to have it and leaving guys in the dust, Sudu.
Here's my thing. As a DB, you just saw your other homeboy get slipped and he cut back inside. You come over and allow the exact same thing. Like, you didn't think he was going to do it again? Ridiculous.
He's like, I want in on this. I want to do that too. I want to go skating.
Yeah, he wanted to have a little fun. He was like, well, why does he get to do it? Because listen, Wazoo, man, they held their own. Respect to the Cougars. But Kyle Peterson and Kenny Worthy III, bless your heart. Man, always a pleasure to bless some hearts with old DJ Shockley. Shock.
I'm just saying, I just can't believe you ain't had no Bulldogs on here. I mean, I understand Ole Miss. I get it. But the Dogs had a few plays in this ball game. I don't understand why you didn't. Don't act like you didn't walk around with Georgia Bulldog there for a little bit. You know,
he's a homer now, Shock.
Listen,
he's ready to get back between the hedges, Shock.
I don't think anybody will ever doubt my love and respect for what Kirby Smart has built. I've said it time and time again. He's the greatest coach in college football. He's the greatest program. It's just parity, obviously, has hit the sport, and therefore we've seen.
You had the best intro to meeting Kirby Smart anybody has ever had. I mean, come on, that makes you an all-time dog right there. Come on.
Shock, you wanna tell the story? Or you want me to tell the story since you're here?
I mean, it's your story. It's your story. I was just there for it.
I don't think I even know this story.
Oh, you never heard this story?
All right, so the first time,
Shock, what?
I can actually tell the story now because I don't cover Georgia for the partner station. But so the first time I meet Kirby Smart, it's my first day on the job at Fox 5 in 2023. I have to meet this guy in Athens. He's got a one-on-one with Kirby Smart. And we get to the facility at Buttsmere. We go upstairs. I meet the whole video team. I meet everybody. We're sitting there. Kirby walks in. Kirby doesn't say anything to me. He just kind of shakes hands with Shock. He sits down. Hey, I got to go. So Shock does a very quick, interview, concise interview with Kirby. And at the end, I was like, well, I got to talk to the guy. I got to introduce myself. But luckily, I didn't have to do it. DJ said, hey, Coach, this is my guy, Sudu. He's our new producer and host for all the Bulldogs content. And Kirby just looks at me and he shakes my hand. He goes, hey, the last guy that had your job was undefeated. Don't fuck up. And he walked out. and
walked off. And Ben walked off, Ben. That was it.
That was it.
The intro.
Walked out of the room, and I looked at Shock, and I look at everybody, and I'm kind of laughing, and nobody's laughing. Everybody's got a straight face like, you heard the man. Lo and behold, we get to the SEC championship game that December, and they get
you hear the wee, Shock?
They get their first loss.
Yeah. You hear it, Ben. You hear it, we.
They get their first loss of the season, and I go to the old guy. His name is Zach Klein that he was referring to, and I'm like, somehow this is your fault because Kirby told me not to mess up, and I blame you somehow. And so the next time I see him as SEC Media Days in 2024, me and Shock once again doing a one-on-one, and I'm setting up the cameras, everything. Which, by the way, behind the scenes, he is hilarious, dude. He's just going in on the SID. He's like, somebody, where's my damn coffee? He's like, the last guy would have had the coffee here already waiting for me. And what I love about Leland so much at UGA, he's the football SID, and he had to follow Claude Felton, who was like a legend, right? Like Claude Felton's a legend in college sports. Leland is so unfazed. He's like, it's coming, coach. And he's just like dog cussing him out, waiting for this coffee. Leland, dude, just so cool. He's like, Coach, it's on the way. But we finished this interview with Kirby because I mic him up and everything, and Shock finishes the interview. And I go to get the mic from Kirby. He thinks I'm trying to shake his hand, and he puts his hand out. I go for the mic, and I should have just shake the man's hand. I go, oh, yeah, I'll shake your hand, Coach. I don't know why I said that. I shook his hands, and I took the mic.
Cracking under pressure, buddy. What the?
I could have just shaken the hand and gotten the mic, but I was like, oh, no, yeah, Coach, I'll shake your hand. As if I'm someone special.
Ben, never seen this guy more nervous than when he was around Kirby Smart. I don't know what it was. I don't know why this guy put a little bit of intimidation to Sudu. But
I promise I wasn't
himself.
that nervous. I'm just
smitten.
I'm an awkward guy sometimes. All right. And
he was flustered. He was smitten.
the funny thing is Kirby looks at Shock and goes, he's like, well, at least he's not as nervous as he was the first time.
Dude, don't forget nothing.
Oh, man. All right, you guys can follow Shock on Fox 5 Atlanta if you're in the Atlanta DMA, or you can find him on Fox Local, Bulldogs Now. He does all the Atlanta Falcons content.
Tell Ole Miss people I'm cool, man.
We don't need to tell Ole Miss people you're anything, bro. Do you know the amount of people that come to me to talk about how you helped them win whatever, an NCAA 04 or 05 or whatever year that was, including that man right in front of us right now.
Right here, Shock. You were that dude, man. Like on the old PS2, I mean,
appreciate that.
It was easy. You know what I mean?
Appreciate you letting me cook, Ben. I appreciate that.
DJ Shockley is forever a legend. He's also, so this man works for the Atlanta Falcons. He works for Georgia. He works for Fox 5 Atlanta. He's got a million jobs. You can follow him. Is it at DJ Shockley 3? Is that right on Twitter?
Yep, and I found time to come talk to my boy Sudu and Ben. So
on a busy night, I mean, you're doing Monday Night Football for the Falcons tonight too.
Got Monday Night Football tonight, yeah. So found time to come talk to my boys. So I appreciate y'all, man.
I appreciate it, man. Follow Shock. Follow all his great work, bro. I'll see you on the sidelines. Hopefully, depending on what Lako says today, I'll see you on the sidelines in Athens this Saturday, bro.
All right, fellas. Appreciate y'all, man. Have fun and go Dogs.
Hotty toddy, baby.
Thank you, Shock.
Oh, love that guy, Benny.
Awesome.
One of my favorite people in the world.
And I love how he just immediately joined in with me to tag team messing with you. It was just
listen,
perfect.
He is the best. So when we would do shows together, DJ would. So I would produce our show, so I would write everything in the prompter and everything. And Shock would at the very end, right before we went on, would go through all the scripts and everything, and he'd always find a way to sneak something in, whether it's the girl I was talking to at the time or something personal going on in my life, and he would put it at the end of the prompter, bro. Fantastic. Trying to get me every single. He never got me. I'm a consummate professional, a real pro.
A real pro would have read the teleprompter like Ron Burgundy says. You know what I mean? Whatever's on the prompter, you read it.
Couldn't do it, but he always would try to get me. But man, he was like hijinks around the office. Stuff would go missing. I had a Manning jersey in my cubicle. In the week of Georgia, it would always be gone. He's honestly one of the best people I've ever worked with. So yeah, love that DJ came on. Just to put a button on it, Ben, this Ole Miss Georgia deal, I wanted to point something out, and I'm sure you've noticed it as well. Trinidad Chambliss has a lot of batted balls, right? He is 6 feet, he's 6 foot. If he is 6 foot, he is 6 foot, even true. And I was going to ask you about this because there was a few against LSU. We saw it against Arkansas, saw it against Tulane. And when you're playing the type of size that Georgia has, how much of a concern is that? I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. There's been a lot of batted balls for Trinidad so far this season.
It was a legitimate concern. He's not 6 feet. I know he's listed like that on the Ole Miss roster, but he's not. I mean,
I try to give my boy the benefit. Yeah.
So if a team, as Washington State did a really good job of, turns Trinidad Chambliss strictly into a pocket passer, that's where he's most inefficient. And it's not just because of a lack of deep ball arm strength. It's also because of, like you said, his lack of height, because that is a legitimate issue. He has had a lot of balls knocked down to the line of scrimmage. So really for me, hearing Shock talk about Trinidad, also kind of go over the Georgia-Ole Miss matchup, his legs will be the most important determining factor early on of how this game goes. If Georgia corrals him in that way, and forces him to try to push the ball downfield where he has always lacked elite traits, that's where the conversation about his effectiveness, and especially for a college football playoff team or hopeful at 6-0, one of the only two remaining undefeated teams in the SEC, along with Texas A&M, to stay that way. For Trinidad Chambliss to be the quarterback, his legs have to really be the starting point. It's how Lane Kiffin has built his offense around it. So that's really what kind of predicated the struggles, in my opinion, against Washington State, is they took out that elite element from his game. So there is a possibility or an opening then for an Austin Simmons who could test teams more downfield. Don't forget, but when Austin was starting the first two games, Trinidad was coming in situationally. Well, situationally against Washington State, Trinidad was 1 for 5 on game-changing throws. I'm not saying he's not going to start against Georgia. He is. There still isn't a quarterback controversy. I'm just saying let Ole Miss fall behind by 2 touchdowns in Athens, and they haven't completed anything down the field, and they've eliminated the rushing component from his game. And see if there's not real pressure or consideration to go into Austin in that scenario, because Lane was just fine going with 2 quarterbacks for 2 games. You think he's not going to be just fine blending it in that way, especially if he has a deficiency, which is specifically deep ball passing for Trinidad Chambliss, and also the lack of height has been a problem. They went 3 and out on one particular play where Keywan Lacey, I think, was wide open in the flat, and good read. He saw it. He tried to get it to him, but he threw it into a bit batted down ball at the line of scrimmage. That's a real issue while Austin is 6'4". So all of those things have to be considered. Neither quarterback is lacking warts. One of them has been strong, even in a bad start last week, finished strong enough, 20 for 29, 253, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over, but also was bailed out from throwing an interception on a bad choice, on protecting the football and things like of that nature. So, I think it's a legitimate concern. More of a concern is, have teams, or did Washington State at least, because I think LSU tried to do it too, and Trinidad was better on those 50-50 opportunities that he took. Even the one that resulted in interception, that wasn't a bad decision. It was a 50-50 ball that sometimes you lose 50-50 balls. But Washington State really showed or did better than LSU even, maybe even if his Ole Miss was looking past Washington State for Georgia, which they admitted, hey, we began preparing for them in our bye week.
Early in the week, they were already looking forward to Georgia. So.
I mean, everybody to a man would probably admit they did not take that one the way they needed to. It happens. You played a full month at home. 3 out of those 4 games were primetime matchups, including Tulane. There was going to be a step back. The only people that didn't take a step back, honestly, were Ole Miss fans, save for the student section. They packed out Washington State in old years. That would have never happened before. But
I think, is that what's grinding your gears today?
No, it's grinding my gears today. Really?
Wait, hold on. Save it, please.
But
please,
anyway, yes, that is a legitimate concern. But like, there isn't. I want people to understand. I'm not trying to create a quarterback controversy. These are the considerations that are happening right now. I mean, Trinidad is the starter. He will start against Georgia, but it is not settled law anymore because the areas in which Trinidad is limited. Opponents have targeted those. It's just like when a rookie comes up and starts really hot in Major League Baseball, and then the book gets out on him. You hear that idiom or whatever it's called, like that phrase all the time. The book's out on him now. How he's going to make adjustments. Trinidad's going to have to make adjustments. He had to do it against Washington State and rally, but that's a lesser opponent. Georgia is Georgia. Now that's not the same Georgia of years past. Honestly. There's no team that scares you on Ole Miss's schedule. Looking down, Oklahoma. Terrible last week, and John Mateer seemed to come back to early. We're going to cover a lot of that, I'm sure. But there is no team that Ole Miss can't beat on the schedule, just like there's no team that can't beat Ole Miss, including State, if Trinidad Chambliss isn't that guy that can protect the football and do elite things with his legs. And against Washington State, they took that out of his game, and when he became a pocket passer, it wasn't pretty. So let's see what Georgia does this weekend with it and how he adjusts to that, because the book is now, in a way, out on him.
Yeah, I think for me, the whole Trinidad thing against Washington State, a lot of it, here's something that I don't know, I haven't heard people talk about a lot, but teams certainly do this. I think there are certain looks they were not trying to show that they're saving for Georgia. There's a lot of stuff that, like, Lane Kiffin wants this win. Going into Athens, where you got absolutely just destroyed 2 years ago, and being able to come out with a win would be remarkable. And this is Ole Miss's best matchup against a Georgia team since they played back in 2016 at the Vaught. Chad Kelly and Hugh Freeze in 2016. Because back in 2023, that was a terrible matchup for Ole Miss, and they got absolutely destroyed. A year ago, there were certainly things that Ole Miss exposed for Georgia, but going into that matchup, I still favored Georgia. This year, it's like, oh my God, this is your best opportunity to win in Athens in I don't know how many years. I don't know the last time Ole Miss has won in Athens. I don't know if it's happened. I'd have to check history books. But it's a great matchup for Ole Miss this year in Athens. To me, that's why some of the struggles you saw against Washington State happened, because they're very keyed in on certain things they're going to do against Georgia.
1989, 17-13.
1989, guys. So this huge opportunity. It's like we've mentioned, it's not easy to win there. They're going to be fired up too. My thing for Ole Miss, bro, at the end of the day, is I know the offense has got to perform and they got to score touchdowns. For me, it's this defense for Ole Miss getting to Gunner Stockton because Georgia has struggled to run the football. Chauncey Bowen's is sort of coming along now where I'm starting to go, okay, maybe he might be able to put something together, but it's really predicated on Gunner Stockton's success, whether that's as a runner or him pushing the ball down the field, which he can do, but you just got to be in his face all game, and he's tough. Like, you can get hits on him, he's going to get right back up. You got to be in his face all game long. I don't know. I love the way William Eccles is coming along, and you and I talked about him pretty much in depth when we were watching the LSU game, how much we think he might be better than Xavier Harris, and Harris gets a lot of the credit oftentimes. But I need William Eccles in his face all game. Prince Will, I don't know if he's 100%. You better find a deep – like, you got to be in Gunner Stockton's face all game long and say, Georgia, run the football on us. Run the football on us, and I think that's the key because I do think Ole Miss will score some touchdowns. As we mentioned with Shock.
Against them that's how you take advantage of them defensively. I think the starting point, to be quite candid, Xavier Harris, man, they need more from you. They really do, because to be 6'7", 300-pound monster, you get blocked up way too easily, especially against Washington State, when you should be a constant down-to-down disruptor. But the knock on him is he's always been a take a play or two off kind of guy, and so far that's reared its head for Ole Miss through 6 games. Here's the deal, though. William Eccles has become a superstar. Cam Franklin has become a superstar. Finally got home for his first sack last week against Washington State. You're right. They have to generate more pressure. Prince Will keeps getting back there, but getting home. Did get home finally against Washington State on a more consistent basis. Deshaun Womack has disappointed since coming over from LSU. Had a boneheaded penalty, too, last week against Washington State. The pass rush, specifically not having Santerre and Perkins down rushing the passer as much as he was last year, is an All-American.
We got to get that going this week. Someone call Pete Golding and say, dial up some blitzes with Perkins, man. Like,
no more putting him in coverage and letting them just throw away from him, letting him go out in the
let
flat
him go in, and if he loses to Stockton, he loses to Stockton. But please, you got, like, this is the key to this game, is you do not let Gunner Stockton do anything this week and say, Georgia, run the football on us. Run the football on us.
Because we can officially say, like, Santerre and Perkins has been Harold Perkins so far through 6 games. Like, 100%. Ole Miss has done to him what LSU did to Harold Perkins. Because, yes, Pete Golding is correct. They've forgotten more football than either of us will ever know. That's not what I'm saying.
No doubt.
But that's not what we're getting at here. But I think Pete would say it's legitimate criticism when, yes, in their money year, the same year for Harold Perkins, they tried to do the same thing at LSU. They're linebackers more than they're not at the next level because of they're thin for their position. They're not down-to-down pass rushers in the NFL. So playing them in their more natural position for the next level makes sense then. Unfortunately, neither of them are particularly adept at that stuff. You know, it takes away, or if they are, and Santerre's fine, but you're taking away his greatest strength, which is his pass rush, which is his ability to get after the quarterback. This is a preseason All-American. Double-digit, 10.5 sacks last year to tie with Prince Luman-Mielen for the team lead. And that has been completely muted because you want him covering a flat. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yes, long term, that's where he'll be. But for Ole Miss and his winning prospects in 2025-26, they got to get him down on the line more. And against Georgia, it's imperative because the not getting home and stuff like that has been a concern all year. You're getting closer now. You've actually got some productivity against a lesser team in Washington State. But Georgia, despite being not the Georgia of old, because there are no good teams in college football anymore, they can take advantage of you not getting home more so than anybody else that you've played so far, at least.
No doubt about it. Got to get to Gunner. And what I'm really excited to see is, so Georgia, we talk about not getting pass rush. We talk about their secondary being suspect. Georgia's linebackers are dogs. They are big. They are lengthy. They love to hit hard. I can't wait to see what Kewan Lacey does against those linebackers. Like that,
I'm surprised we didn't bless a heart for Kewan Lacey because that man is true stud. 24 carries for 142 yards, a career high last week against Washington State. It still felt like he was underutilized.
100%.
He should be getting the ball 10 more times as a pass catcher.
If they let Kewan Lacey run wild in Athens, Ole Miss is winning that game. I'm letting you know right now, like and that's the big matchup here for me. I can't wait to see Georgia's linebackers against Kewan Lacey. Note, I didn't say Ole Miss's offensive line Georgia's linebackers against Kewan Lacey, because it don't matter if you hit the guy. He's going to keep them legs churning. So I want to see I want to see who wins, Ben.
In the country, I don't know if he's still second in the country behind Ahmad Hardy, who's got by far the most missed tackles of anybody. And Ole Miss brought him in for a visit. I bet you're thinking, oh, maybe he should have signed that one up while he was on campus, because imagine Ahmad Hardy and Keywan Lacey as a 1-2 punch for Ole Miss this year.
Yeah,
insane, and that could have really happened. But still, I mean, as a featured back, Keywan Lacey continues to answer the bell. Had 14 missed tackles forced last week against Washington State. Yes, it's Washington State, but when they needed him, he came through, and I think he's second only to Ahmad Hardy in the country at forced missed tackles, and Georgia is a different caliber of linebacking core that he's faced all year. So, yes, if you're talking about matchups, no doubt about it, because this Ole Miss offensive line has improved. Washington State was a step back, but again, everybody was going through the motions, in my opinion. If Ole Miss is playing, and it'll be motivated to play against Georgia, it's at Georgia. I mean, you heard Shock say it. He's absolutely right, and that's a former player. Like, it's hard. It's hard for players to get up for that. So, you expect a different effort from them this weekend in Athens, and that includes an offensive line that up until Washington State had really taken significant steps forward. I think you could see something very similar to that this weekend in a very close game. It's a complete coin flip. I know that Georgia opens as like a 3.5-point favorite or something like that. That's about right. It's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em, but they should be slightly favored. But at the end of the day, neither of these teams have much of an advantage over the other. They both have significant warts, but if they do what they do well, the other side, it could get pretty ugly pretty quickly. Like, if Ole Miss can really run downhill at Georgia, you're right, that plays toward them and what they do well, especially with Trinidad and his running capability at quarterback.
No doubt about it. 2 advantages for Georgia. 1, Sanford Stadium. 2, Kirby Smart. Outside of that, everything else is going to be settled on the field. Ben, you mentioned Missouri for a second.
And also, it's not that far off for Lane and Kirby in 2025. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no,
not
Lane
in
is certainly.
2025. I'm not saying as coaches but in 2025, few are doing a better job in their respective situation than Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, no, that's obviously no knock on Lane, but just Kirby and the way he runs that program. I mean, anytime you face him, that's a massive
can y'all hear
battle.
Can you hear the crush this man has on Kirby Smart? Can you hear it?
I used to say the same thing about Saban.
You in red and black, buddy.
I used to say the same thing about Saban. Hey, when you're the GOAT, you're the GOAT. There's no denying it. Bama Mizzou, and we're going to get to third Saturday in October, but you mentioned Ahmad Hardy. I want to talk about how Missouri could have won that game. Why did Ahmad Hardy only have 12 carries for 52 yards in that game? Bo Prabula had 11. What the hell was Drinkwitz doing, bro? You had the best running back in the country. You had Bama on the ropes at home, and Ahmad Hardy only got 11 or 12 carries?
It's inexcusable. What
the hell?
Coaches sometimes have bad games, and Eli Drinkwitz is terribly corny. It's just truly a corner, but he's going to be a candidate at Florida. He's going to be a candidate maybe at Penn State. That's going to Matt Rule. But sometimes you overthink things, or you just come up short. To only give Ahmad Hardy, who, in my opinion, if you really want objective truth, should have been going into last week, but still, even after 12 carries, see what he means to the Missouri offense? He's the Heisman front runner, and let's get let's get payback for Ashton Jeanty getting screwed by giving it to Ahmad Hardy this year. Who else deserves it? Dante Moore doesn't deserve it.
Ty Simpson, baby.
Ty Simpson, maybe, but Ahmad Hardy.
Ty Simpson far and away.
But yeah, right now. But going into last weekend, you would say, "Oh, Ahmad Hardy," and you would have said, "Hey, how do you beat Alabama? Give him 25 carries, and he got 12. He got less than half." That is a
so Drinkwitz robbed his potential Heisman moment. Then imagine if Ahmad Hardy got 27 carries in that game.
Did he really only get 12 carries against Bama?
Bro, I had to double check because the whole time I was watching that game, I'm going. I saw Jamal Roberts break out a big run, like a 39, 40-yard run, and I was like, oh, Hardy. No, it was Jamal Roberts. And as the game continued to go on, I'm like, give the damn ball to your best player. What are you doing? And don't get me wrong, Bo Prabula is freaking awesome. He's awesome. I love Bo Prabula. He did throw that interception late, but, he's awesome, and he had some great plays. But why I just don't get it, man. You know me, bro. Even if a running back's averaging 3 yards and 4 yards, if he's your guy, you just keep riding it and keep your offense on schedule and moving. And I just felt like they abandoned it.
They did, and to their detriment, to their fatalistic detriment, right? They lost because I'll never forget Lane Kiffin last year. It was really interesting. He said something, and I mentioned it when he brought me into his office to talk about the Ulysses Bentley thing, because it's a really good point. The most profound and also dumb thing he could have said publicly was, hey, football isn't that complicated. But it's true. It's not that complicated. Yes, there are some things schematically that Lane Kiffin can see above everyone else. But when you really get down to it, as Lane said yesterday when we talked to him for his Sunday evening Zoom call, you got to catch, you got to tackle, you got to block. I mean, it's a pretty basic premise, right? And part of that basic formula and premise is what? Feature your best players. Get your best players the ball. So I put that loss to Alabama on Eli Drinkwitz. Sometimes you have bad games, but it doesn't change the fact that Missouri and Alabama and everybody else in the SEC and everybody in the country, quite frankly, are all about the same. That was the biggest takeaway. You thought that you saw Ty Simpson and Alabama getting ready to really become that dominant team. There are no dominant teams in college football, and that's what makes it exciting. It also makes you think that, turn around and give Ahmad Hardy in a playoff matchup 15 more carries. You might get you an upset win over Alabama in that scenario.
And people are going to go like, well, Sudu, Bama just did a great job. I mean, he had 4.3, but I'm like, dude, keep riding the guy. Keep giving him the ball. Like 12, give him more carries.
Player.
He's your best player. Give him more carries. Football, take some of the pressure off Rabila.
Complicated. Feature your best players. Lane Kiffin did it in 2020 in the COVID season. He basically got the ball to only Elijah Moore and Kenny Yeboah. Like, now people go, hey, where's Harrison Wallace lately? Where's Caden Lee to start the year? There are a lot more mouths to feed. There aren't just two guys to force feed. Feature your best players. And to not do so is coaching malpractice, and that's exactly what happened for Drink against Alabama. They overthought it, or they just, crumbled under the pressure of how the game flow went and just got away from it. Either way, yes, Bo Perbula is an ascending quarterback, and, man, so much to love about him. But also, he's not your best player. Ahmad Hardy is, and he should have been featured more.
No doubt about it. We talked about Ty Simpson briefly. Good God, man. He looks like the best player in the country right now. 23 for 31, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a couple throws that were just awesome, like that skinny post on the touchdown, the way he struck it in there. I love Ty Simpson. We talked about him in length last week. He's clearly the Heisman favorite to me just because of he doesn't make mistakes. I think he's got 1 interception and like 16 touchdowns on the season. He's got a couple more on the ground. He's the reason Alabama is winning right now. Okay, Alabama's receivers have been, honestly, I've been surprised with some other guys outside of Ryan Williams because he's been a dud. Did he catch a ball on? I don't think he caught a single pass against Missouri. And obviously Jam Miller did his thing. Now he's injured, so that's going to be something we're going to have to look at going into this Tennessee game. But to me, it's Ty Simpson. I know everybody's got Fernando Mendoza in there, which we'll get to Indiana in a second.
It's Fernando Mendoza for me.
He's efficient, but he does nothing that makes you go, that's a Heisman quarterback. He had a couple throws. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But like Simpson's arm is a Heisman arm, and Mendoza is more of like an efficient quarterback who makes good throws. He's got weapons and he plays to them like Surratt. But often, like the stuff I've seen from Indiana, and I haven't seen every single Indiana game this season. He's good. He deserves to be in the conversation. But if you're talking about like an arm that like when you think of Heisman moments, I haven't really seen anything from Mendoza that goes, that's your Heisman winner. But Ty Simpson, you've seen some of that from him already.
Which is fine, but I think it was Mario Cristobal that said it recently, like they shouldn't award the Heisman until the end of the year. If Fernando Mendoza, who's got the best resume as far as wins and also statistics, regardless of his non-elite traits, maybe he's not the thrower of Ty Simpson, if he leads undefeated Indiana to the college football playoff and maybe they get as far, maybe they get to the championship game because Kurt Cignetti's the best coach in football right now. Let's for what it is. Kirby is the guy, but if you wanted to pick one coach to take any team and go win a game right now, you're taking Kurt Cignetti. He's got that magic.
That's fair because he's doing it at Indiana.
Look at his resume. I love that he stood on business in last offseason, the offseason before when he said, "I win. Google me." I mean, he wins everywhere he goes, and
they got better. They got better this year. But Ben, they look so dominant and just like aggressive. You know, I talked about Miami, like they want to hurt you. They're so physical. Indiana gives me some of that. Ohio State's defense gives me some of that too.
Jared Ivey had a comment for your Miami take last week. Would you like to?
Okay. What did Jared Ivey have to say?
Former Ole Miss defensive lineman, now with the Seattle Seahawks. He made the 53-man roster despite being undrafted. Yeah, my guy J.I., he commented, "I commend you, Ben, for sitting through this buffoonery." He just wanted me to contribute that.
Well, does he have a retort to that, or was he just wanting to make a comment?
He was kind of feeling like I'm feeling, that you're really still. I mean, I don't know what they put in the water over there in Athens, but boy, when you got away, you just it's like, time's long gone by. You're just floating.
Hey, I laid out my entire case, and it makes complete sense if you've watched football this year. You've watched every single Miami game. It makes complete sense what I'm trying to say. I mean, you look at Kirby's elite defenses of 20. I'm saying the traits, and everybody goes, why is Georgia the standard? Because they're the last team to go undefeated and win 2 straight national titles. That's why they're the freaking standard.
Sudu loves them.
Because that's why they're the standard. Those Georgia teams were dominant, and my whole point was, and I got this on TikTok. People are like, well, Miami's really the standard. Oh, well, you could do that year by year. Bama was really the standard. But the most recent, when you talk about dominance, the most recent team to be that was Georgia, and this team has similar characteristics to it, right?
But my thing is this. All right, let me ask you right here. Let's do rapid fire because we got to get to the other stuff to get out of here. So here, if you had to pick right now, neutral site, Miami or Texas A&M?
I'm taking Miami. What is Texas A&M done on offense, truthfully, to make you think that
Miami and Ole Miss?
I'd probably still take Miami. Miami defense.
Miami and Georgia.
That one's. I'd probably take Miami neutral site.
Miami and Alabama.
Until they prove me wrong, I'm taking Miami. I really am.
If they played a 9-game SEC schedule or played the same
honestly,
schedule,
with Bama, with Ty Simpson and a healthy Jam Miller and his receivers, I would be interested to see how that matchup plays out.
I don't think it's a 1-for-1 comparison. I don't see the dominance that you see with those Georgia teams and the last team that went undefeated. I think they're Miami right now is a creature of their conference, but also being the strongest by far in their conference. But being the strongest by far in the ACC,
but my point wasn't they're winning a natty.
How much better are they than Bama? How much better are they than Ole Miss? How much better are they than Texas A&M? They're all about the same. Like if Miami had, the Texas logo instead, I doubt we would be saying, well, look at this dominant Texas team, because they would mix in and blend well. Like I feel like they could lose to Florida tomorrow. They almost did. You know what I mean? So
my point is just the similarities to the last team to go undefeated and win 2 straight natties are there. And my point was Miami's good enough to go undefeated this season, and they're doing it in a dominant fashion that resembles those Georgia teams. That's really all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters or they're going to win a national title, but I'm saying that's what they look like so far.
Which means when they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, you're going to be like, well, shit.
They could. They very well could. Someone could come, but they haven't been exposed so far. That's what they're playing like. But that leads me kind of back to Indiana, I guess, since we went in that direction anyways. 2 top 10 wins, Ben. In those 2 wins, they've scored a combined 93 points against Illinois and Oregon and given up just 30. I mean, think about getting a double-digit win in Eugene, Oregon against the mighty Dan Lanning and the Ducks. Cignetti, I think for all of us, I don't think there was a single person, maybe outside of Indiana fans, that thought they were going to go in and do that. But we all respect Kurt Cignetti, at least the people that watch football should, to go, well, they could do it, but let's see if they can. And not only did they do it, bro, they won by 10 points. Like, they were in control basically the entire game. And Mendoza threw that pick six.
They should be the number 1 team in the country.
They look good. I don't know if I'm quite ready to say that yet, but number 2, I'd easily give it to them. But they look really good. They look really good. And shout out Kurt Cignetti. Is he like Mike Leach to you, like a little bit? Like the way he's kind of like, he's a little out there, but he's still got like that commanding, like kind of persona.
I get what you're getting at with that.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're getting at. But for me, like, he's the last of a dying breed. The last of the true ball coaches. They know they're about that. They're about ball, man. Like, he doesn't give a crap about being on Saturday Night Live or something. You know what I mean? Or like parlaying this into a bigger branding thing. My man is coaching Indiana Hoosier football.
And he ain't leaving. I don't think he's leaving.
I don't either.
Penn State fans really think they're going to get him.
They're getting Matt Rule, and they're going to like it. But I mean, Kurt Cignetti would be. I mean, it's a Pittsburgh native. It'd be an obvious fit for them, and he's the best program builder in college football. In a world where, from coaching hires to players, it's all hired guns. It's year to year. Kurt Cignetti is still preserving the spirit of the thing in his 60s over at Indiana.
That's why he's like Leach to me, because it's like Leach was such a good fit wherever he went. He was like a great fit. It was always a program that was sort of like overlooked, and he always made them good. Texas Tech, Wazoo, Mississippi State, right? It was always kind of the secondary program in whatever state he was in. And Indiana, that's what Kurt Cignetti gives to me, is like, I think he wants to stay at Indiana. He's like, oh, I was also overlooked. I was also not given opportunities despite my resume. This school did. I'm staying here. We're beating all of you.
Before Florida offers him $12 million a year, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he'll take the money, but
like he'd be foolish not to. And it has nothing to do with like Indiana. It's like you one time in your life you won't know it maybe necessarily, but it's pretty obvious in coaching circles. There's one opportunity to really have peak earning power. Kurt Cignetti, no matter what happens the rest of the way, he's the guy that everybody's going to want to talk to, and somebody is going to be desperate enough to say, here's $15 million, because if money's the only thing holding you back, which apparently they think at Florida it is, I know they want to talk about Lane Kiffin and all this kind of stuff, and I understand it, but like Kurt Cignetti, he everywhere he goes, he wins. Google him. Because that man's been standing on his business ever since he became an Indiana Hoosier, and it's awesome to see. And you would love to see him stay there, but
I hope they keep him.
This coaching carousel is going to be insane. I mean, it's already insane. Penn State, Oklahoma State, Arkansas. I mean, these are big jobs, and they've just gotten started. Imagine what could come open. Florida, of course, but
Florida State could come open.
Florida State. I mean,
there's a big buyout there as well. But
which Mike Norvell, enjoy it. Jimbo, enjoy it. Don't get back into it. James Franklin, sit on your $60 million. Go diving into that shit like you're Scrooge McDuck. What are we thinking here? Like, what are we doing? Like, why would you want to get back in to the long hours and days where, like, you can just enjoy your life? But, I mean, if you want to get back in, James Franklin, buddy, there's going to be an opportunity at Arkansas. I'm telling you, that's what's really grinding my gears today.
I think Auburn, I think Florida, I think there's a lot of options for James Franklin for sure. Also, our guy Fran Brown, like, you want to talk about Penn State? You want to talk about Penn State? And I know I posted that video about Fran Brown getting a better opportunity. The Syracuse people found, and they're like, he ain't leaving. He's a Jersey guy. He's staying. He's going to take us to new heights. There's a price tag on everybody. And Fran Brown would be a killer at Penn State because he knows how to recruit that part of the country.
I think he would be even nastier at Auburn.
I
think he would destroy Auburn. I think he would be so great there in terms of how he recruits nationally, but also like that was part of his territory in Georgia. Don't get it twisted. When he was a staffer for the Georgia Bulldogs, like, he knows this area. Man, how fun he could be at Auburn. But also, Penn State. But that's going to Matt Rule. What are we doing here?
I've seen the reports.
He's a Penn State guy. I mean, Nebraska, God bless you, you're fun and everything. And, man, the 90s were great. At the end of the day, if Matt Rule can get Penn State, he's going to get it, and he's going to take Dylan Raiola with him. I mean, let's be honest. The dude's got 1 year left. Is he an NFL quarterback right now? No. So Penn State with Raiola doing his, Patrick Mahomes cosplay in Happy Valley on the whiteout game, it all writes itself. Let's be honest. The real intrigue comes from, what does Florida do? What is, like, Texas isn't moving on from Sark, but what if they did? Good for
Here's an interesting one I was thinking of this weekend, and I got to thinking of it because I saw Landry Kiffin and Knox Kiffin both in Baton Rouge, and I went, what happens if Brian Kelly gets the boot? What if the rest of the season just goes to absolute shit for LSU? And, I mean, they got a game in Nashville, right? Is it in Nashville against Vanderbilt this weekend? Or
let me look. I'll look it up. You're the one supposed to be prepared, not me.
I think it is in Nashville. Yep, it's in Nashville.
Yep.
Number 10 LSU, number 17 Vanderbilt. A noon game.
Diego Pavia's Ben's quarterback for his all 22 of dudes.
So I was, hey man, there's a world in which Brian Kelly, LSU gets fed up, and then that Lane Kiffin rumor mill really starts heating up if the LSU job opens. But
do you really want me to rehash all the Lane Kiffin stuff?
We don't have to. I'm just saying it's going to because of obviously.
Do you want a different take so I can really grind some gears? 2 minutes. Put it on the clock. You ready for this?
This is what's grinding your gears today.
This is what's grinding my gears. Okay.
All right.
I'm wiping the eyes, getting the hair all straight. Listen, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss has been the perfect marriage. No one expected Lane Kiffin to be here for 6 years. Okay. Bigger jobs have come open than Florida and even potentially LSU, whatever, and he's not taking those jobs. Would he entertain them? Of course he would, because he could come out like Dan Lanning did and say, hey, I've got the job I want. I'm here at Oregon. But Lane Kiffin's never going to do that. Like he's always going to leave open the quarterback door for an Austin Simmons or a Trinidad Chambliss. He's going to give himself wiggle room because that's what good CEOs do. But you better bring it if you want to get Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. And even if you do, can we stop talking about like where would Ole Miss be without Lane Kiffin? You can both recognize his accomplishments and also understand that because of those accomplishments and because of what he's done to build Ole Miss, that the next guy will be in one of the best situations as far as hiring a new head coach than most every other school. Would you rather be at Ole Miss or Arkansas right now? Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin made that choice when he first chose to get away from FAU and come to Ole Miss. He chose Ole Miss over Arkansas. The same thing can happen. The same thing could happen. And Ole Miss would, in that scenario, have pretty much an open book of guys they would go after. But it would start with Pete Golding because he's earned that opportunity, but it wouldn't be limited to him. They would talk to Clark Lay. They would talk to – look at the Penn State's hot board list. And, of course, Ole Miss would talk to a lot of those guys too. Now, Matt Rule, he ain't coming here. But you don't think they'd want to engage Kurt Cignetti and couldn't at least get him to take their call? Of course they could, because Ole Miss is in a different place contentionally than it's ever been. And that's in all many respects
30 seconds
to Lane Kiffin, but also because Ole Miss gave him the resources and the financial backing he continues to that was unprecedented in this school's history. It's a different program now. So you can get all excited, Florida fan. You can get all excited, LSU fans, seeing Landry in the stands and seeing little Knox on the friggin' sidelines. Knox said he ain't playing for my dad. So if he's down there at LSU, LSU, you ain't getting him. So let it be. Ole Miss is different now. Done.
2,
Gears
1.
are over. Done. Ridiculous. It's like we act like Ole Miss isn't like a different program than it was. Like you can still go, oh, stupid old piss. But like, come on, dude. Like, really? They have a top 10 salaried coach and coaching staff, the number 1 paid defensive coordinator in the country because it's in the SEC, so in the country. They've got that belongs to Penn State now. Look how that worked out for James Franklin.
Yeah.
Yeesh, you know. But you get what I'm getting at? Like, stop treating Ole Miss. You can still have your prejudices and biases and say, oh, little old piss. It's different now. Sudu, even though he's a Georgia Bulldog, will tell you, he was an Ole Miss man first. And he can tell you the truth.
You know that's not true. Well, that's what's grinding Ben's gears today. Before we go, there's a lot of things we got to hit on, including our man Jerry Neuheisel, the first of his name.
The first of his name.
UCLA cruising over Michigan State. Listen to this. Neuheisel's offense has now scored 80 points in its last 7 quarters after scoring 57 in their first 4 games. Nico Iamaleava's got 8 touchdowns in the last 7 quarters, Ben.
It's absurd. Tim Skipper is the interim head coach of UCLA. And
I feel bad for Tim. Tim deserves credit, but man, what do you even do at that point?
How do you not buy all the stock in our man Jerry Neuheisel? Jerry of House Neuheisel, the first of his name. Looks like a Targaryen. But also we have a King Joffrey actually making plays in college football that I just learned about today when we were blessing hearts.
Lehigh.
I mean, it's like we can't get out of the Game of Thrones references, which no show disappointed me more, and we could talk about that at another time. But yes, my man Jerry Neuheisel, Tim Skipper, you deserve a lot of credit, but he is on fire right now because if you think about where that UCLA offense was to where it has been under him, he's going to get at worst real offensive coordinator opportunities just off of this run alone. And I'm talking about he'll be a hot coordinator candidate if he's not. I think
you make him the head coach. Have you seen him in those post games in the locker room? They love him. He's got that whole team.
That's what I was going to say.
They want to fight for him. We were talking about Nico Iamaleava transferring after Deshaun. What's the guy's name? Deshaun Foster. What was the coach's? I've even forgotten his name.
Yes,
he was such a non-factor. No offense to you, Coach Foster, but yeah, I mean, you were clearly. I don't know what you were doing. There are people asking, were you even practicing? Like, what was going on when you were the coach? And now he's got he's galvanized the whole team. They love him. He's young. He's dynamic. He knows the program inside and out. I saw a tweet. Someone said, y'all had this man coaching tight ends for 6 years, and nobody knew that he was this elite of a play caller. Nico ain't leaving if that dude's the head coach. Why would you leave? He's clearly making you better. You look good with him as your play caller. To me, in order to keep Nico and keep that roster together and keep that energy going, you make him the head coach. And once again, like, yeah, it sucks for Tim Skipper, but how do you say no to that kind of energy and excitement if you're UCLA? You haven't had anything close to that.
No, and I think and for a program that really, when they made their move and fired Foster, and I mean they were in dire straits. No NIL money, no fans showing up. LA has never been a great sports town. Yeah, the television networks love it, but as far as fans showing up, it's never been good.
It's hard.
It's hard to win there. It's hard to gin up really any excitement. These aren't the days when UCLA was mighty UCLA. Not just we go back to the basketball years. It used to be the greatest basketball program in the history of the world. You know what I mean, of college basketball. And now it's just a place out west that people forget about until Jerry Neuheisel shows up and starts racking up some points looking like a Targaryen. Then you can say, hey, maybe you see it. Like when you have that kind of juice in 2025 when it's so year to year, if not week to week, month to month, buddy, you got to bottle it. And you've got to really try to capitalize on it. And it's great for UCLA. It's great for Jerry Neuheisel. It's great for Tim Skipper. But it's even more a great story for college football. Right, because those are dudes rallying to the cause, and coming together as one, just like Coug fans in Oxford this weekend. Man, when I say that they travel and they give a crap and they've made a Coug fan for life, Washington State, y'all are awesome.
They're the
and
best.
They feel it out their state. Like the spirit of the thing, we talk about it all the time. It's been lost in a lot of things.
Dude, they're football. The school. They go to every single college game day with the flag. Like they are like that is a diehard fan base. They deserve so much, and it sucks that they just anything good keeps leaving. Wazoo, and I feel really bad for them,
including UCLA. Like it'd be way cooler to see UCLA and Washington State play this year after almost beating Ole Miss, and then Jerry Neuheisel. Unfortunately, the Pac-12, because of all the business of college football, has been decimated completely. But man, you love to see stories like this still because they're not as prevalent as they used to be.
We got to bring back regional conferences, Ben. On my NCAA anything, Dynasty, Road to Glory, I always redo the conferences. And I've even put in like San Diego State, San Jose State. Like I want teams regionally in conferences. If you told me tomorrow Clemson and Tulane and Georgia Tech were joining the SEC, I'd say awesome, cool, that's great. Send Oklahoma back to the Big 12. Send Mizzou. I'll take those teams instead. I agree with you. It would certainly add. So imagine if they had to play. I mean, are they playing USC? I guess they still have that game on the books, right? Or they have to be playing USC, right? USC, UCLA's. There's no way.
I love how you put me on the spot like 4 different times.
I know.
Like I'm the brains of the operation.
Yeah, they're playing. Okay. That rivalry's still in the books. Like I can't wait for that. Lincoln Riley's got USC looking a little better now. They went and got a big win this weekend, and like those are the type of things I want in college football. Those regional rivalries. Not a lot of time to stay on that because we do have to rapid fire wrap up here. John Mateer, his Heisman shot, absolutely shot at the moment. Do you think they rushed him back? Do you think this is just who John Mateer is? Let's be real. Even when Mateer was healthy and playing, he looked impressive. He was our Heisman frontrunner. But when you go look at it, who did Oklahoma really beat in those games, right? So as of right now, where do you put John Mateer? Do you think he recovers at all in his Heisman chances after the loss to Texas?
It's going to be really hard for him. I mean, he didn't look like he looked like he'd been rushed back. He looked like a player that shouldn't have been playing, quite frankly. And they threw him out there to the Wolves. Texas had a good plan, and good for Texas, good for Arch Manning, good for Sark. And that, I mean, they've had a lot on their shoulders, man, all year. That was a big, big, big win for them for myriad reasons. And I think I agree with Dan Orlovsky for ESPN, who said that like Arch Manning is going to be the QB1 for the 2027 draft. I wouldn't disagree with that. I was all worried about rushing him up for 2026 and this Heisman candidacy and this because he looked markedly better against Oklahoma.
I think losing was good. I think the pressure is now a little less, like it's not as, there's still pressure. You're the quarterback at Texas, you're a Manning, but once you lost and everybody turned on you and then the attention was like, all right, whatever. He's not who we thought he was.
Because everybody in college football, the media, the fans, they have attention spans of dogs, which is like 4 seconds. All right, so they were obsessed with that. Well, now they're looking over somewhere else. Now James Franklin's been fired. Now Mike Gundy's gone. All these kind of storylines can dominate, and you can go play ball. And man, he looked like a different quarterback. Now
he wasn't awesome, but he was good. And he had a couple
better.
throws. I texted you. I was like, I can't figure him out, Ben. He's so efficient on third down. He had some crazy throws in this game. But at the end of the game, I went, I think the pressure's gone. I think the loss to Florida might have been the best thing to happen to Arch Manning this season. And now he can just kind of get back down to earth and just play. He's not perfect. Texas isn't perfect. But in that game, their defense stepped up. Their run game stepped up and allowed Arch to sort of play within all of that. And if they keep going like that, then I 100% agree. I think, one, Arch stays at Texas, and two, that hype train will start back up, but this time more deservedly than it was coming into the season.
Yes, exactly. Well put. Like now he can just develop. Jackson Dart won 8 games his first year as Ole Miss's starter, and he battled Luke Altmaier for like 5 weeks. All right? Like every single guy that has ever done anything at that position has had to go through something like this. They have to go through something like this. So, Arch, consider yourself blessed that you can now – the weight is off and you look like you are improving. Is he still the Arch that everyone built him to be in the preseason? Of course not. He's nowhere close to that. But he's taking steps now when otherwise he was getting buried under the bus by everybody. And good for him. And I look forward to seeing him grow, not for a championship contender, maybe a playoff spot, maybe, probably not. But to see him continue to grow, and then next year what he could potentially be now that he is the starter. So he was never a bust, but he was also never a 5-star plus prospect. Honestly, he was about the same as Austin Simmons was, 4-star coming in out of high school, or pick your guy, whoever that might be, that, yes, real traits that you like a lot, but going to need some time to develop. Jackson Dart was a 4-star guy coming out of high school. Like, it's okay for guys to need time, and now Arch Manning is afforded that time. Sucks that it had to come at expensive losing, but also every quarterback worth of salt goes through something like this, and, now you can start to see Arch taking some steps, so it's encouraging.
Texas A&M, you don't still believe in them. I actually, after watching them play Florida's defense as well as they did, one of the best offensive performances against Florida's defense this season, I think Colin Klein deserves a lot more credit, the OC at Texas A&M.
Agreed.
Marcel Reed is fine. Like, I don't think he's a world beater, and I don't think he's a perfect quarterback. I do love Mario Craver. The speed is insane on him. But I gave Florida a lot of credit on defense. I still do. I think they're one of the best defenses. To me, A&M's defense has been awesome all year. I thought they were great. But what I saw from A&M's offense against Florida made me go, okay, I think I'm ready to give A&M their flowers. Are they going to win a natty? Are they going to beat someone they're not supposed to in the playoffs? I don't think so. Like, I still think that there's enough warts on that team where they're not going to – they're going to go into the playoff and make some kind of run and get to the national title game or anything like that. But they deserve their ranking. Like, they're good. And I've kind of come around on them after watching them against Florida.
Just nothing has changed for me about their long-term viability yet. Like, of course, they could make a 12-team college football playoff. Are they one of the best 12 teams right now? Yeah. I'm still not – I love Marcel Reed coming out of high school. Again, a 4-star guy that multiple SEC programs wanted. Wasn't, his last name wasn't Manning, so he didn't get to be a 5-star plus prospect of the number 1 player in the country that everyone said is going to be a future Heisman winner. And he's done some good things. I just hadn't seen him take – like, I see Arch Manning taking more steps right now than Marcel Reed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He looks like the same player every game. So until he can start making game-changing plays – I think what they are is capped, is limited. But that's everybody, is what I'm saying. Like, everybody in college football that's worth anything, that's really contending for a college football playoff berth, they all have significant warts. There are no good teams. But I'm not sure that of this collection of not great teams, but fun teams and teams that can beat anybody else, I would pick others over Texas A&M because I'm just not buying Marcel Reed yet, and I've been wanting to. You know me, like, Marcel's been my dude.
Yeah.
I just hadn't seen the growth yet, and maybe he comes out and balls out. I just wanted to see a little more, but there's a big win last week. So, of course, they deserve where they're ranked. They deserve their considerations. I'm just not buying them long-term as far as their viability. I would buy more stock right now in Ole Miss. And they will say, well, of course you do. You're right for the Ole Miss Spirit, OMSpirit.com, affiliated on 3. Sign up today for $1. Of course you would, you stupid ginger homer. But if you really took off any and all red and blue, maroon and white, maroon and black, whatever it is, of Texas A&M glasses, you would also say they're about the same. And if you look at who Ole Miss is beaten and who Texas A&M is beaten, I just like their resume a little bit better.
A&M's defense is better than Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss's offense is better than A&M. That's really what it shakes out to for me.
Trinidad's a Heisman candidate right now. Now, you could say off of Washington State, and I would go, I agree with you. But right now, I'll go with the team that's the other undefeated team with the Heisman candidate, while your quarterback just needs some more.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you want to say, you know what's funny about Trinidad, and we'll continue to move
Trinidad.
What's hilarious is like, oh yeah, he had a bad game. Yeah, he still had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, and I'm guilty of this. Forgive me, Ole Miss fans. I might have been a little too hard on him after, like in the post game.
I mean, dude, in the middle of the game, you sent out a tweet talking about Austin Simpson, and I said, Ben, I was even saying, Ben, relax. It's okay. He's allowed to have a game where he's a little slow. Here's the thing. I never thought that entire, which it signals a new era for Ole Miss, because, I mean, like, I think most Ole Miss fans are like me. We're very anxious, and we get nervous, and we go, here we go again. But for the first time in a long, long time, maybe ever, we're losing to Washington State, and there's still a close game at the end, and the whole time I went, they're going to win this game. Now, yeah. I was scared when they had the ball last. I was like, oh, God. Oh, my God. This is good.
And then they run a draw.
Yep.
To start that drive. It was bizarre.
Yep.
But I meant what I said, because early on, I think he was 5 for 11. He got an interception wiped off the board because of pass interference on the opposite side of the field. He was playing poorly.
Yeah, he was.
And
a lot of throws that he threw behind his guys. Like, it wasn't his best game.
When I say 1 for 5 in game-changing plays, I'm talking about 20-plus. I'm talking 50-50 balls, and he wasn't giving his guys a chance. Air-mailing throws, not even in the vicinity of where they should be to even give them a chance.
Yeah.
So it was less about, he only missed a 1 of 5. No, he wasn't giving them a chance in hell. He was so off and so bad and they were trailing to Washington State that you could go, they need a spark. Of course, Lane would be justified bringing Austin in if he's healthy, because, again, he's the one that'll say, I don't even know if Trinidad's starting this weekend. If he could say that, don't get mad at me, because I go, you know what? Sure, they might need a spark right now. Not to say that Austin would give it to him, but I mean, he had no problem alternating Jackson Dart and Luke Altmaier for drives at one point.
Yeah.
Had no problem starting this year alternating them. I'm just saying, the only consideration for everybody, including you and myself, when we're analyzing these things, is what makes Ole Miss the best team, or Georgia, or whoever team we're talking about, the best version of themselves to go win a national championship. It ain't personal. It's just business. And I'm just saying that I don't think it's settled. It's less settled today than it was. Trinidad's still starting. But just as Lane Kiffin is non-committal, I wouldn't be committal as a fan either, because at the end of the day, the only thing anybody needs to be beholden to is what allows Ole Miss to go 1-0 that week, because you're trying to win a title, and you're not going to get sunk if you're Lane Kiffin by the position you know best, which is quarterback.
No doubt. All right, let's do some rapid-fire picks before we end today's show. Starting off with LSU Vanderbilt. The Tigers have to go to Nashville, noon kick on ABC. What you thinking, Benny?
LSU, but Vanderbilt, it'll be a 1-score game. More fire thrown onto the resume furnace that is Clark Lay, who I think should be getting consideration.
There you go with the Lay again.
I told you, I'm 40 years young, man. I'm old and dumb. I'm all like Clark Lay. I'm sorry, dude. I've been calling you Clark Lay ever since I learned it when you were at Notre Dame, dude. LEA just reads Lay to me, and it's just going to be stuck in my brain forever. But Clark Lee deserves real consideration for any and all big jobs. What he's done at Vanderbilt is nothing short of remarkable. LSU is better than Vanderbilt, and even on the road, which would typically be a pick 'em, I just don't see it.
Give me Diego Pavia and the Doors. I think
I'm
taking the Doors on this one, man.
You can't steal my guy, though. You can't make him your quarterback for Sudu's 22.
I'm not making him my quarterback for my. It's still Byron Brett, but my point is speaking of the Doors, I think the Doors are coming off the hinges in Baton Rouge. I've never been a fan of Brian Kelly being an SEC coach. I don't think he's a top 10 coach in college football. Top 15, I'll give it to you. I'm telling you, man, there's going to be some real pressure at the end of the year, because guess what? They got to play A&M. LSU's got a tough schedule ahead of them. I don't think they're that good. I don't know if Garrett Nussmeier's hurt or if he's just a bust, but Vandy's beating them this week. I'm taking the Doors on that one.
Or he was never remarkable to begin with, but because quarterback play across all levels has never been in a worse place as far as depth of options, he was checking the most boxes of competency. He's unremarkable, surrounded by some remarkable talent, but yeah, they're not the end all be all that we build them to be. But I'm not gonna disagree with you about Brian Kelly.
Yep.
I've talked about popcorn muscles before. What are popcorn muscles, Sudu? They look good.
They look good.
When you really need them, when you really need them to do something, to put in that work, when you need those muscles to show that you're one stout SOB, man, they just are nowhere to be found, right?
What I hate about him, too, and when I mean hate, I mean hate. What I hate about him, too, is you always see him. It's like he's blaming his guys every time. There's never like, hey, son, come here. Like, you watch Kirby Smart, his DB will get absolutely beat. First thing he does, he puts his arm around the guy.
Here we go.
Saban, as much as Saban chewed his guys out, Saban would also go over there. You would always see a shot of him teaching. Brian Kelly's always yelling at his players, man. It always looks like he's throwing them under the bus on TV.
Come on. I mean, one of the most famous GIFs of all time, GIFs, whatever you say, Nick Saban and Will Muschamp chewing ass together. Like,
that's fine. That's fine when you deserve it. I get that. You make a boneheaded play. You see Brian Kelly going after his quarterback. The quarterback.
But also, this is the same guy that would lower himself to taking pictures with recruits, make it looking absolutely corny and terrible because he loves LSU and he's got to do what he's got to do.
He's got to do what he's got to do.
Himself a Louisiana draw for the first time going, I'm so happy to be home.
He's a phony. I don't like Brian Kelly. He killed a kid, by the way.
I think he's popcorn muscles, but like, dude, come on. I don't think he's any more of an asshole on the sidelines than anybody else.
No, I think he is. I've seen him time and time again. It's like, dude, that's your quarterback. Like, I don't know. I would just not talk to a quarterback in that sense. Like, you need them to be sharp mentally. And the first thing he does, it's always, come on. I don't know. Anyways, Vandy's going to beat Brian Kelly and the Tigers. Oklahoma at South Carolina.
The head coach of Sudu's all 22 dudes is not going to be Brian Kelly.
It will not be Brian Kelly. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I can tell you who it's going to be. Kirby.
Well, I don't think so. I think my all 22 has to be like lesser known people. So it might be Jerry Neuheisel.
It's just going to be your dudes.
Well, my dude, but see, the guys that I pick as my dudes are like the Byron Browns or the Eli Heidenreichs. You know what I mean?
That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Like, it's okay to go, like, who's your favorite player right now in college football? That's a hard one. Who's the star?
I mean, it's to my favorite player is Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, between the story, what he can do with the football, it's Trinidad Chambliss.
All right, but Byron Brown's your dude. Okay, we'll figure out the criteria.
If I'm gonna, to me, that roster is like lesser known guys that are like maybe you may not know them. You know what I mean? But still, if he could get Kirby to be his coach, Kirby's the guy.
Just wants you to know.
All right, Oklahoma now falling to 14, going to South Carolina.
That's a job that could open up, Sue.
Mm-hmm. What you think? You taking OU to bounce back, or you think they falter?
South Carolina's just not good, man. I mean, the way they finished last year, everyone wanted to give them so much credit for that win over Clemson, and like they're 9-3, they should be in the playoffs over Ole Miss, which was always absurd because Ole Miss lost its 3 games by a combined total of 9 points. Yeah, Florida was ugly and Kentucky sucked, but like, dude, come on, right? Like, this team has proven that. I mean, Shane Beamer might be in trouble too. I mean, this matters, folks. I mean, this matters now.
I want to say OU is only a 4.5 point favorite.
Yeah,
the line is OU minus 4.5.
But it's only 4.5 to be the road team. I mean, that's pretty salty. That means I don't think South Carolina is one of Ben's biggest disappointments, because I really thought, like, I was buying stock in Lenore Sellers. I really was thinking, man, he could have real QB1 ability for the NFL draft in 2026. And now I'm thinking, well, dang, dude, I don't know how much eligibility he has left, if any, but dang, he might be better off transferring, and go and try and find something else.
Beamer's got one game every year he's not supposed to win. Could be this one. Could be down the road when he.
Who they got left?
So they got Oklahoma. They got Alabama. Obviously at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, Coastal Carolina, and Clemson.
They'll beat Clemson again. Give them that one. I mean,
I'll give them Clemson, but that one. But someone they're not supposed to beat between Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, and A&M. Ole Miss and A&M are on the road. Oklahoma and Bama are at home. He always does it. I'll say this. He always does it.
Of those three you mentioned, this weekend would be the one I'd say most likely to get that. Okay, if we're both picking South Carolina here, I'll pick South Carolina. Then I'll go with you. I'll ride down the end of the line with you, friend. You and me. We'll pick South Carolina, and if that happens, go ahead and put Oklahoma down as the next job that's going to come open. Like, so you're going to have Penn State and Oklahoma and Arkansas, probably Florida. I mean, this coaching carousel is about to get crazy now.
No doubt.
And if Ole Miss again comes out at the end of it with Lane Kiffin still being the head coach, can we finally stop putting him on every single coaching search hot list.
If LSU opens up and he doesn't go, to me, that'll signal it's over. Yeah. I've said it time and time. I think Texas, Bama, Ohio State would be like the 3 jobs. Maybe Oregon, maybe.
New York Giants.
God, that'd be something, wouldn't it? I think they're going to be fine with Dayball. All right, Ole Miss, Georgia, Ben. Moment of truth.
To the Saints, it was all over. Get you a win last week. Oh, I love your fandom, dude. He's still a fan about his teams. I love it, dude. It's awesome.
That's why we do sports.
Hell yeah. All right, what was the last one?
Ole Miss at Georgia.
Oh, I think Georgia's going to win the game. I would pick Georgia. I would pick Ole Miss if it was at home because it's a straight-up pick 'em. If I'm going to say that Washington State was the outlier performance for Trinidad Chambliss in terms of you got to have his legs. They got to be elite for him to be elite, for Ole Miss to be operating at his peak capacity with him under center. I'm going to say they rebound. I don't know how much they're going to rebound in that way. I'm going to say not enough to outlast Georgia. The defense is getting pushed off the ball too easily right now. Xavier Harris, buddy, looking like Tarzan, playing like Jane. Need a little bit more out of him. The secondary for Ole Miss had its worst collective performance, in my opinion, of the season against Washington State. And that's saying something because they had some other ugly outings, but that one was just a different level of bad. The tackling was poor, coverage bust. It just didn't look like it needed to. Zachariah Branch, if you come out with that type of effort in the Ole Miss secondary, will absolutely eat all day and leave no crumbs. The man will be, going for 8 and 168 or something crazy. I mean, there are things that really concern me outside of, Trinidad didn't push the ball downfield. I think Trinidad's going to be fine. I think the offense is going to score.
I think Georgia.
I think Georgia's going to win. I say 31-28 Georgia.
Yeah, it's Georgia minus 7.5 right now. I am not worried about Ole Miss's offense as much. I am worried about Ole Miss's defense. If there's no pass rush, you're right. There's not enough on the back end. It's similar to Georgia's defense, honestly. If there's no pass rush, Ole Miss doesn't have enough on the back end still for me to comfortably go, yeah, they can win this game because Georgia's got weapons. I mean, I know they haven't utilized as well as they should have at this point, but they certainly have them. You're right. Zachariah Branch, he can absolutely toast. Awesome. Sage Ryan is toast if he gets in a foot race with Zachariah Branch. I predicted Ole Miss to lose in 2023 when they got absolutely clobbered. I thought there was no doubt. I picked them to lose last year in Oxford, and I thought they had a chance. This year, I think they've got the best chance they've had in years. But because
you said your favorite player in the country right now in college
Trinidad
football is Trinidad Chambliss, and you won't even
because it's Ben. You're not letting me finish. Because it's in Athens, you would think that I would say, well, Georgia's going to win because it's in Athens. Georgia's got a lot of red flags, and I know Kirby's been waiting all year for this one. I think he's even told people, you know who's next.
Let him cook, folks.
I think that number 5 team in the country is going into Sanford Stadium to give the Dogs their second home loss of the season this year.
Oh, man. Folks,
I think they're doing it. And I'm scared. I am not confident in this pick at all. I am terrified of walking into Sanford Stadium Saturday knowing that all the Georgia people I'm close with are going to see this and call me out and stare me down all game. God forbid, that first Zachariah Branch punt return, kick return for touchdown, they're all going to be looking at me.
Rusty Manziel's going to come straight up.
Oh, God. I can't.
Off the top rope with the elbow like Macho Man. Can't wait. But also,
I'll tell you what.
I think Georgia shamed you enough for an hour and a half that I got to talk to you into picking this.
I came into this podcast today knowing I was making this pick. I got the Rebs in this one. And here's the thing. If they win this game, that's it. I mean, unless you just screw up royally, which they have done, get excited. Get excited.
Almost did last week, folks. I mean, 24
almost
to
did
21.
A week ago.
I mean,
but even if you lose another one, it's fine. But I mean, you go into Athens and you win. I think they can do it. I'm taking the Rebs. Let's keep it.
College game day will be there.
College game day. Pat McAfee, he's picking the Dogs.
Dogs.
Who we got? All right, I'm continuing to go down the schedule. Texas goes to Kentucky. It's kind of intriguing. It's a night game at Kroger Field. Night game at Kroger Field, Ben. Texas minus 10.5. I think this is going to be a closer game than we think. Texas wins, though.
All right.
Tennessee, Bama, third Saturday of October. UT, number 11 in the country, going into Bama. How about Bobby Petrino giving the Vols a little challenge this week?
Bama comfortably.
I'm going to go Bama too. I think Tennessee gets a second loss of the year. Tennessee's defense, just a lot to be desired there. I think Ty Simpson, the way he's playing right now, if Jam Miller doesn't play, Tennessee might have a shot. But I still think Bama wins this one. But I think it'll be a shootout.
That would just set the stage for Ty Simpson's Heisman game if Jam Miller doesn't play.
That's
so
true.
Still, Alabama comfortably.
That's true. It's going to be a shootout, though. I'm excited about that one. Number 20 USC going to South Bend to take on Notre Dame.
This is my upset pick.
Okay.
Notre Dame, baby.
Wow.
Give me the Irish.
The 13th ranked team over number 20 is an upset to you now?
You're right. Well,
they don't deserve that ranking, yeah.
That's
I
what
know,
I'm saying. Like,
I know what
that
you're
was
saying.
going to be my rant. I really wanted to grind gears because, like, I was looking at the rank. That should be an upset, and this doesn't count, so it doesn't. So never mind. We got to pick another upset. But Notre Dame over USC, I agree. Notre Dame only lost those games by a combined 4 points. But who on earth would get this kind of deference other than Notre Dame? To be
Nobody.
13th
Nobody.
in the country with 2 losses.
It's them.
Barely ever fell out of the top 20. Did they fall out ever of the top 25?
No.
No. Okay. Well, that's
don't think they did.
ridiculous. You know, so I guess it's not an upset at all. It makes me want to pick USC now, but I'm going with Notre Dame because I think Notre Dame's figured something out.
I'm taking USC. Give me Jade Mayava. Give me my dog, Makai Lemon.
Love it.
Give me USC getting that win and finally putting these frauds in South Bend. Somehow they're still going to try to squeeze them into that 12-team playoff.
They'll just drop to 20th if they lose to USC. I'm picking them to win though, because I think Notre Dame is going to be one of the 2 lost teams that makes the playoff. Because first of all, they desperately, when I say they, I mean the powers that be, desperately want the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the playoffs. And if they get to 10-2, look at the difference they've gotten so far. They'll 100% be in. And I think if they get past USC, they will be.
Outside of USC, the only other team I could see them giving them somewhat trouble is Navy, just because of the way they play. But outside of that, Boston College, Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. Pitt got themselves a true freshman quarterback, by the way, that beat Florida State. I still don't think they're beating Notre Dame.
But I think they can make it fun.
No doubt. All right, Mizzou at Auburn. Is this the week that Hugh Freeze finally says his farewell in Auburn?
You know what?
They're not beating Mizzou, right?
You know what?
Oh, God.
Well, I got to come up with an upset pick now.
7:45, Jordan Hare. Is Auburn Jesus coming back, Ben?
He owes them one.
That's true.
Or maybe 2 or 3.
No. Unless Gus Malzahn took Auburn Jesus to Florida State.
I'm picking Missouri. Come on.
Okay. All right. Oh, you had us there for a second. You had us in the first half. Mizzou, by the way, only a -1.5 favorite in this one. So Vegas knows something.
Dude, are you trying to get me to do it? Auburn!
Yeah, there it is.
Freeze warning!
Freeze
warning on the plains. There's my upset pick. I think the freeze era is circling the drain at Auburn.
Yeah.
However, I, for the first time and can't tell you how long, felt real sympathy for both Auburn and Freeze as he and John Cohen are chewing out those refs walking off at halftime because Jackson Arnold crossed. So you know what? While Auburn Jesus has bailed them out, including against Ole Miss, and we could cite certain examples, we're not going to get into this because it get worse. I'll say sure they beat Missouri this weekend.
Auburn's defense has been impressive. Auburn's
Jackson
defense.
Arnold finally has his 5-star game. Sure.
It depends on Auburn's defense, and if Mizzou commits to their best player, Ahmad Hardy. I'm still taking Mizzou. I just think they're too powerful. But Auburn will make this a close game. Utah BYU. What is that game called again? Hold on. I got to get the name. Holy War. The Holy War.
Holy War.
The Holy War. That's right.
Sitting right there.
All right, the Holy War. What are you thinking? Utah getting the impressive win this past weekend over Arizona State, 42-10. Granted, Sam Leavitt didn't play, but still, the Utes are looking a lot better since they got absolutely knocked by Texas Tech earlier in the season. Do they beat the undefeated BYU Cougars?
No. I got BYU.
I agree. I think BYU's the Big 12 favorite right now. They're absolutely crushing it.
They're crushing it.
All right, just for the fun of it, Florida State at Stanford.
Florida State, because buddy, if Florida State does it,
it's a 10:30 game though, Ben. Pacific time. Remember. Does that make a difference?
We will be talking, as we're talking about James Franklin to start this week, we will be talking about Mike Norvell to start next week. If Florida State loses to Stanford, I'm going to say Mike Norvell makes it harder on Florida State to fire him than most people think right now, and that includes beating bad Stanford.
He's got a hell of a buyout. Shout out Jimmy Sexton.
Are we about to have a second Ben Jinx, though? Because when I started talking about James Franklin, 2 weeks later he's fired. Mike Norvell.
To be fair to Mike Norvell, and Mike Norvell was very nice to me when I covered him at Memphis. Still got the guy's number. I don't think I've ever texted him, but love the guy. He's awesome.
But I got his number.
But that's my
Did
point.
You get Kirby's number too?
No, Kirby wasn't that. That's the point. Mike Norvell was kind enough to be like, here's my number.
And Kirby left you on red, your guy. Oh.
I've never texted the man because I don't have his number. But Mike Norvell, it's not his fault, in my opinion. That defense is atrocious. That defense has given up 384 yards. That was a true freshman at Pitt. 384 yards on the road. They've allowed 108 points during their 3-game losing streak.
You're the head coach. You're the CEO.
I get it.
Defensive coordinator.
I understand. He's got to make a change. If he stays, that's obviously going to be a huge point for them. I think their offense is great. Like Gus Malzahn has been a great addition to his staff. But I understand at the end of the day, it's wins and losses. You lost your 8th straight conference game. That's not pretty, and it reflects on Norvell. So ultimately, all right, Benny, before we go, you got anything else to say? You're not going to be in Athens. I'm pretty sad about that. But
I'm not.
It's okay. I'll give you a break since you showed up to the Ole Miss LSU game. That
because
was one
Sudu. So that's what I want to say. My final thought today is, number 1, be good to each other. Number 2, Sudu is awesome. It was great getting to talk to Shock because I never met him before until quite literally I started talking to him on a podcast today. It's the first time I'd ever talked to the man in my life. And Sudu has been a friend, let alone a coworker, for almost 20 years. I mean, something crazy. It's been a long, long time now. And to see how he's flourished in other places, including Georgia, and made friends in that way, and watching what he does with this podcast here, because all I got to do is come on and be stupid old me. He does everything else. I just want to give my man all the credit in the world. He's the best at what he does, and we're blessed to have him. And thank you, my friend. It's always fun. It's the most fun thing I do for work every single week. And through a very difficult professional couple weeks for me, to be able to do this has been just an answered prayer from God. He's sovereign. His providence reigns. And my guy, Sudu, is my little brother. So I just want to let you know.
Well, I can't top that. I don't deserve any of that praise, but I love Benny.
Take the damn compliment.
And there we go. And that's why it's Sudu and Ben. But no, seriously, thanks to everybody that's been watching. I know we figured out how to collaborate on YouTube now. So if you're an Ole Miss Spirit subscriber, you can get the podcast.
Me into the 2020s finally.
YouTube allows us to collaborate. So now whether you're getting us on there, you're seeing our clips on Mudcat, or you're seeing it on Ben's page or my page, just appreciate everybody for the support. I'm on the Ole Miss Spirit message boards. I should post more, but I've seen the comments you guys have left and everybody saying nice things about the podcast. We appreciate it. We're going to obviously keep it rolling. Someone did ask me, not to continue this diatribe now, but someone did say, well, what happens when football ends? It's like, guys, we are doing this as a college sports podcast. We plan on doing basketball. We plan on doing baseball. I have connections at WWE. Ben's an old wrestling fan. Like we're trying to do some exciting things, but it's just been awesome for you to keep along during college football season as we kind of figure this thing out. So I really appreciate it.
Who could you get on from WWE like tomorrow?
Probably Stu, Wade Barrett.
I got some bad news.
I don't know. I'd have to reach out to Stu, but he's always been kind. He's one of the few ones that since I left has always been.
But I was agreeing with this point.
Yeah.
When it comes to me talking to my guy, there's never going to be a time where I can't sit down and talk to him for almost 2 hours.
Yeah. Today was a jam-packed show. It's Ole Miss Georgia week. Come on, baby. We're in Athens. College game days in town. It's the premier matchup, and we got connections to both sides. So once again, thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully we get a fun week 8, and we'll see you next week to break down the Rebels' win over Georgia.